Hello, my name is Christopher Milo, and I'm so excited to be joining you for this broadcast. I think it's super important for everyone to at least have a basic idea on how the connection was made. A special thanks to the folks in the USG class. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And one of the students, Angelina, in the USG class had seen me speak years ago at her high school, and she put my name in the suggestion box, and I'm super excited to be able to share with you and address some of the concerns that I think a lot of us are having during this current season. We're now in January 2021 with a lot of changes that are happening. But I first wanted to share with you, just so you can have a little bit of an idea of who I am as a person and as a man. I also want you guys to know what you can expect of me during our time together. My goal during this time is to offer a fresh perspective for each and every one of you. So you can approach this year with confidence and assertiveness, and to really know that no fear is necessary. And that's one of the things that is my main goal, is to reduce the opportunity to have any fear. When I close today, when our time comes to an end, my plan is to leave you guys with 3 important key points, at least 3. They're going to help you so much. I already know this, and that might even change your life. So if you're somebody that likes to write things down, please go and grab a notepad and enjoy our time together, as I know that I so very much am as well. So first and foremost, I'm a dad. My wife, Mary Beth, and I have a blended family, and we have 5 children. Our youngest is 14, so I have a freshman in high school, and we have a 30-year-old adult son and 3 in between. So I go from literally, will you help me with my math, to will you help me with my truck? And that's kind of like, you know, how it is in our house. It's been awesome for us as a family to learn and to grow and to just learn about each other. I'm fortunate enough to have a very patient spouse, and that lets me be me, and we allow each other to just do the things that we enjoy, and we try to, just like this session right here, I've titled it Leading with Love, Not with Fear. And that's something that I believe I'm speaking to somebody specifically right now, that this message is just for you. This was like custom designed just for you. So I'm so thankful for my family, that I've got the opportunity to be able to come to you guys through this platform. I'm so thankful that to the University of Akron and everybody that is behind the cameras and making this work as a team. So thank you to all of you, and that's my special thanks to each of you. So for me, I grew up in a town called Wadsworth, Ohio. Not too far from here. It feels good to like be home. Wadsworth is just 15 miles west of Akron. And growing up for me, it was interesting. So being, I'll be 49 this year, so it kind of gives you guys an idea of time frame. For me, I attended private school. I attended a Catholic school growing up. And I remember as a kid, I had like 25 kids in my class. And the only thing that I was ever interested in was playing the piano. Started playing the piano at the age of 5, and I remember that I would be at lunch and I would eat my lunch super fast just so I could get over to the piano that was in the corner of our cafeteria and sit down and play. The thing was horrible. It was out of tune, it was ugly, but I just wanted to play. And I remember I'd go over to the piano, I'd sit down, and as soon as I would sit down, I'd like turn around to see if anyone was watching me. And I had realized that every one of the kids that I was with had gone to lunch and recess. They went outside. They went outside to play. You know, how do you think that made me feel? Well, if you're saying sad or mad or bad, yeah, that's what it was. And it was rough for me growing up because I didn't have a lot of friends. I got made fun of, what we know now today is bullying. I got made fun of for being nice to people. I was called all kinds of names, and I was totally beat up because I was raised to be sweet and kind to people. Well, apparently the class didn't take it that way. So all I wanted to do was play, and you know, I would sit down and I'd play, but I wasn't very good. Let's face it, you know, when you start doing anything, especially age of 5, you know, really, how good can you be? You know, you haven't had a lot of the number one necessity, which is practice. You know, now in order to get good at anything, we definitely need to practice. So I've prepared for you a little video clip. You can picture in your mind that little kid that was trying to play the piano but wasn't very good. But years later, with a little bit of practice, it's amazing what can happen. Let me share this. That one's on.
Rolling.
Yep, there's a little red button. Hello? Hello?
So,
You ready to have some fun?
always.
Here we go. Tell me know when you're ready.
Yep. You're rolling.
So I want you to understand that I didn't bring that piece of video so I could say, look at me, or brag. I wanted to bring that so you could see how incredibly blessed I am. You see, I graduated from the 8th grade, barely. Wasn't a school person. I really wasn't a school person. I think what was happening to me is that I had started to allow my circumstances, and this is for somebody right now, I started to allow my circumstances to define who I was. I was going through some crazy stuff at school. I didn't get along with some of the leaders there. I had a lot of questions going on in my head. I wasn't a very good student. I didn't have those talents. I loved to play, but nobody wanted to listen to that. So I had those challenges that I was really trying to work through. So I left the 8th grade, and then I was able to go to Wadsworth High School. Well, but let me remind you of this, that I graduated with like 25 kids in my class. And there was now 350 students in my freshman class. I was terrified. I'm at a building that is so big that I don't even know where I'm going. I was constantly lost. I was lost in here, I was lost in here, and of course I was lost there. And it was a lonely place to be. So, you know, I was reading all the posters and everything, and I saw a poster that said that they were preparing for student council. And I'm like, you know, what's that all about? Well, they're, you know, president, vice president, treasurer, and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, what do those positions offer? Well, they explained to me that those were like leadership positions, and that people in a leadership role could offer change to the student body. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. If I could get into one of those positions, then just maybe I could encourage the student body to not treat people like I had been treated the last 8 years. Let me refresh your memory. So there's 25 students in my class. I've now got 350 students in my class, and I don't know anybody. And the ones that I do know don't like me. So I ran for class president. And guess what? I won. For the next 4 years, I worked so hard to try to create positive change in my environment. But I want you to know that it all stemmed from fear. Every bit of it stemmed because I was afraid. I was afraid of the outcome. I was afraid of whatever the results I was facing. I was afraid to approach things, but for something in my belly told me that I could do this. So I tried. You know, all those years of going through high school, the one thing that I promised myself that I'd never do was play the piano. I would never stop playing the piano. And I continued to play. It was the only thing that didn't talk back to me. The piano didn't call me any names. It didn't make fun of me because I got poor grades. And it was the one thing that I could connect with. And it really made a difference in my life. But the question is, because none of this is about me, what are you connecting with? Who's that person that you're able to reach out to? Or maybe is it a teacher or a parent or a trusted friend? I know you guys have a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions. And what I went through, I'll get to that in just a second. I graduated barely from Wadsworth High School. Barely. It was challenging for me. Even with a little bit of summer school added into that equation. But I got through it. I got through it, and I was like, okay, now what do? I got to go get a job, right? I had to get a job because the music wasn't paying the bills, if you will. You know, I was playing in clubs, I was playing in bands, I was playing every Friday and Saturday night somewhere. I was playing for Sunday brunches if I could, anything that I could find. Made a ton of money my senior year, but guess what? It wasn't enough to take those next steps. So I got a job at a local lumber company. I graduated the high school in 1990. Got a job at the lumber company, and have any of you ever experienced like instant change, like something changed all of a sudden, like you're just going on with your life and then boom, something changed all of a sudden? You know, if that's you saying yes, then you're going to really be able to relate to this part of my story. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was November 8th, 1992. And one of my responsibilities at this lumber company was to prepare the next day's lumber package. So we were building this house package, you know, the floor joists, the studs, everything you needed to do a rough lumber package. And I'm reaching down, picking up these heavy boards and putting them onto the pile, reaching down, putting them onto the pile. And little did I know my life was about to change forever. I didn't realize that I had 2 herniated degenerative discs in my back. That's right by the belt line. I reached down to grab another stack of boards and I was stuck in that position. My back injury left me paralyzed from the waist down for 6 months and 3 days straight. I had specialists all over Cleveland, Akron, and all of them had the exact same story. They told me that there was a very, very good possibility that I would never walk correctly again. That's what everybody said. They also told me that by the age of 35, I would have 3 corrective surgeries to fix the magnitude of the back injury that I had on my L4 and 5 discs. What do you do with that information? You know, those of you here at the university, you were my age. I was 20 years old. And people were looking at me, telling me that I am no longer going to walk. That's a hefty load. I remember telling the doctors, kindly leave. Just go away. Because I told myself that I wasn't going to accept the news. You guys, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was the night of my 6-month anniversary of being paralyzed. I had been paralyzed for 6 months straight. My position, my posture was so not good. I was in the darkest place that I had ever been. I told myself, I don't want to be here anymore. I had no friends to go to. I had no one that I felt that I could trust, that I could turn to. And I'm like, why? Why would I even want to exist? remember that night of my 6-month anniversary of being paralyzed. I close my eyes. I'm laying in bed. I close my eyes. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't possibly be what my plan is. It can't. And I thought to myself, if this is your plan, then I'm going to need some serious help with this because I'm not doing good. But then I had this other idea. I'm like, if I could just have my legs back, I could do something really, really good with my music. I woke up the next morning and there was no change whatsoever. So I became more angry. And anger and fear just kept building up and building up and building up. And I woke up the next day, 2 days later. Again, no changes. But then I woke up on the third day. I woke up on that third day and I could feel my left foot. Mind you, that in just a few weeks from this moment, I was supposed to have what they call a microdiscectomy, which is a 3-inch incision in the lower spine, and they told me that they had a 50-50 chance that this would even try to help. Did you hear what I said? I felt my foot. Over the course of the next 2 weeks or so, I could feel the feeling go up this side and down my right side. You guys, I walked into this studio today, 28 years later, and I have never had a surgery. So for those of you that are celebrating with me, thank you. Everybody asks me, they said, what was the worst part about being paralyzed? I couldn't sit on a bench. The one thing that stuck by me was my piano, and I couldn't even play because I couldn't hold myself up on the bench. Fear just kept rising up. And I became my circumstance until I felt I had a second chance. I got my chance. Are you kidding me? This was amazing. All of a sudden, there was the freedom that I had been looking for was just literally laid in my lap. I mean, let's get real. Isn't that what we're all searching for? Some freedom, some understanding, and I'm just being real with you guys. We're all looking for that ultimate purpose, but who's our coach? Who's our guide? Who's our counsel? And if we've got nobody to go to that's offering something really real, then it's just a flip of the coin. Well, I'm here to tell you, we've got some better solutions for you. And it's no accident that you're watching this broadcast. I remember my next steps. I went to every stinking piano that I could go play and played. Remember, I'd made a promise. If you just give me my legs back, I'll do something good with my music. So you know what I did? I ended up in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not necessarily the best choice, but I went there to play. And boy, did I ever. I remember this like it was an hour ago. I'm playing at the Bellagio. in Las Vegas, Nevada. There was a tip jar that was probably about a foot in diameter. And it was probably 14, 16 inches tall. And it was jam-crammed full of money. You couldn't fit another $50 or $100 bill in this jar. When you think about that, most people would be like, I want to give myself some. This is amazing. But I was miserable. I was like, I got to get out of here. I left Las Vegas, Nevada, because I had a show to do in the great state of Michigan. I did my show in Michigan. It was awesome. It was one of the best performances that I had ever done. And I'm heading back to Cleveland, Ohio. And something in my stomach told me that I needed to go to the hospital. I'm like, nope, feeling pretty good. But it kept going. There was something. You ever had that feeling where you feel in your gut that you either should be doing something or you shouldn't be doing something? You know what I'm talking about? Well, it kept happening to me. But it told me that I needed to go to the hospital. So about a quarter mile down the road of me going through this, I see a blue sign with a white H in it. What was I seeing? Signs for the hospital. And I'm like, okay. I get off at the next exit, and sure enough, I'm in front of the Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Thinking to myself, what in the world am I doing here? You know, I felt like something in my belly said, go in. So I went in. Had no idea what I'm looking for. Don't know why I'm here. I go up to the elevator, and I tell this as a joke. I felt like everything was in French, Italian, and Hebrew, because I couldn't understand one word. I couldn't make out any of the words except one. I recognized the word oncology. Cancer had affected my family's life over the years, and I remembered that word. Other than that, nope, had no idea. So I go up to the oncology floor, right? Now, mind you, I didn't have this hairstyle back then, at this moment anyways. I get on the elevator and I go up to the oncology floor. You guys, I get off the elevator, I'll start here, like I own the place. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Hey, good, good. How you doing? Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden I hear this, hey, coming out of one of the hospital rooms. Well, I look down the hallway, and there's a nurse staring right at me. I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, and she goes, go ahead. She tells me to go into the hospital room, that it was okay. You know, I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. I don't know them, they don't know me. Obviously, they've never seen me. So I kind of did one of these things here, and I kind of went and leaned back and looked in the hospital room, and sure enough, there's this little girl, looked to be about 4 or 5 years old, sitting in her hospital bed all by herself. So I stand in the doorway and I'm like, hey, my name's Christopher, how you doing? And she's like, hey. So I thought, well, you know, it's a great day today. You know, I'm just being me. She didn't want to hear none of it. She didn't care. She didn't know want to know who I was. She didn't care who I was. But while I'm trying to make small talk with this kid, I noticed that to her, it would have been to her left, she had been working on a craft. There was glitter, there was glue, there was construction paper, you know, basically everything that you need to make a craft. Well, I saw this little cardboard thing that was folded in half. It was in the shape of a heart and made out of construction paper. I said, "Can I see your craft?" And she goes, "Okay." So I kind of leaned over and I got the craft and I opened up this beautiful little heart that this little girl made. And on the inside of it, it said, "I love you, Mommy." And it was spelled completely wrong, which I thought was amazing. And all of a sudden, this little girl started looking at me so weird. I mean, beyond weird. She goes, "Come here." I didn't want to go over there. So I she goes, "Come here." This went on a few more times and she raises her voice at me. She's like, "Come here." So I got down and I knelt down right by her hospital bed. This little beautiful angel looking right at me in the eyes. And I could feel her reading my mail inside my soul. It was crazy. And while all this was going on, this little girl reaches over to her side and grabs her construction paper scissors. You guys see where this is going? Yeah. Then she grabbed a chunk of my hair and she cut it off. What do you say to a kid at a time like that? I'll tell you what I said. I said, "Are you going to do the other side?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, this is amazing." So for whatever reason, I was put in a children's hospital that afternoon to get a 4-year-old little girl to give me a haircut so she could make me more like her, which was bald. But I haven't even gotten to the good part of the story yet. Before I left, I was so intentional on what I was going to do. And before I left that hospital, I spoke life into her. I said to her, "I believe with every fiber in my being that you will never return to the hospital for the reasons of cancer. And I believe that if you put your mind to it, you can do amazing things. And if you promise me you'll keep trying." See, I made a promise once before, it worked. I promised her. I said, "If you promise me, I'll promise you that I'll keep my pretty haircut if you keep trying." You know what she said? She said, "Okay, I'll keep trying." And all of a sudden, I was best friends with a 4-year-old little girl. And I'm here to tell you, that little girl absolutely changed my life. Never thought that one person could have so much of an impact on someone's life. And that little girl, she kept her promise. She kept fighting. And she is now cancer-free. She's an all-star athlete. And I guess I'm stuck with this haircut. It changed my life. People look at me and they think that I play guitar in a goth band and probably do drugs. Seriously. That's no lie, which is far from the truth. Perception is not necessarily reality. It isn't. But the question is, are we taking the time to ask questions? Are we taking time to be respectful and honor one another and love one another? Well, that's the question. You know, how do we lead with love and not with fear? It's actually quite simple. We make it hard. We make every bit of it hard. What we really need to do is just listen. Listen to hear. Nobody likes hate. Nobody likes harm. There's so much going on in our world today. And I'm here to tell you guys, turn off the news for a little while. Take a break from social media. It's good to stay informed. I get that. But don't listen to all the details and stuff because it changes every second. If we're going to lead with love, we need to lead here. We need to feel it here first. We need to take responsibility for here. If you want things to change for you, you must change you. It's so easy to look and point the finger at somebody else and go, you know something, if it wasn't for you, you know how many times I've heard that? Let me explain that. Let me put that into perspective for you. I've had the privilege of speaking to now over 550,000, over 500,000 students, parents, and educators on the topics of leadership, bullying, suicide solutions, self-harm, rape crisis, and a lot of drugs and alcohol. And I hear the same thing over and over. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know where to go. I'm in this mess. I kind of know how I got here, but not really. And all of a sudden, we're filled with fear. Well, I got good news for you. I've got some solutions for you. And I'm going to share those with you guys before this broadcast ends. I had to make some choices. You know, what am I going to do now? You know, I've got my legs back. I've got this sweet haircut. What am I going to do? So here's what I did. I created a program called the 13 Messages from Milo. It's basic character traits. Being positive. Love one another. Trust. Communicate. Being genuine. Listen. Inspire. There's 13 of those. And I encourage people to spend an entire week on being positive. Let's start there, for example. Can you imagine if the environment that you were in, everybody had a good attitude and a positive outlook? Really think about that for just a second. You might be saying to yourself, impossible. No, it's totally possible. Go find new friends. Hang out with people that are willing to make some positive changes with you. You know, this is really quite simple. As I said earlier, we can either be part of the problem or we can be part of the solution. Think about that for just a second. While you're going, oh my gosh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and that's what you're thinking about, you know what? And I'm going to speak about this in my closing statement. You've got to change your thought. Everything that we do, this is for somebody right now, everything that we do begins with a single thought. And you have the power to change that thought. So when something's coming into your mind and you're going, oh my gosh, this is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you have to take that thought captive and you're like, nope, I'm not going to believe that thought. I'm going to rise above because I know who I am. And if you don't know who you are and you need help there, I want to talk with you. I want to meet you. And I want to help you. You guys, none of this is complicated. We make this hard. I'm serious. I have asked that some of the student body come up with some questions, okay? And I want to go here now. Some of the questions that you might be going through, some of the things that you might be dealing with. And if you're one of those people, again, that likes to write things down, now would be a good time to grab that pencil and paper. If you are someone who is having a lack of motivation to maybe do well in school or other activities, if you're that person, I want to talk to you right now. It's just you and me talking. Me too at times. If you want absolute transparency, I came here to be real with you and love you right now. Sometimes I lack motivation as well. With everything going on in our world, with everything going on in our individual towns and our societies, we can choose to either focus on the problem or we can focus on the solution. There's something that we were all born with, and it's called free will. There's some folks that I talk to on a pretty regular basis. And fear rises up constantly in these people. If that's you, I want you to take my email down at the end of this broadcast, because I've got some helpful solutions for you. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we can fix that and make all that go away. Are you someone who is struggling to maintain relationships with friends and family during COVID? That was the next question. Are you someone who is struggling to maintain relationships with friends and family during COVID? We all are. Every one of us. On average, let me put things into perspective for you. On average, I speak to anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people a week. I know you guys can't see it, but there's two incredibly handsome gentlemen right here in this studio with me. Yeah, I'm talking to you guys. That's what I'm looking at. And I'm not used to this, you guys. I'm not. And I'm just being real with you. This is a challenge. But you know something? You're worth it. You're worth me coming here and coming to this studio, and all these people believe you're worth it too. We will rise above this. Things are not going to stay this way forever. They're going to change. And they're going to change. And I'm telling you, you mark my words, that 2021 is the beginning of some of the best days and years of our lives. You watch. You know what's going on. I'm going to mark this. I'm going to bookmark this. Today is January 19th. It's my wife's birthday. Did you catch that? You know what my wife said? I said, there's students at the University of Akron. I have the opportunity to try to be a blessing to these kids. She goes, they're worth it. Don't you dare worry about my birthday. And you are worth it. You're definitely not alone. I went this past year, I went to my first virtual funeral and my first virtual wedding. I was going to school last year myself. some continuing education. And I graduated my class in a parking lot line. It was pouring down rain on this May afternoon. And yeah, they handed me my certificate through the car window. Something to try with your friends and your family. Try to dive deeper maybe, here you go, into their love languages. If you don't know what that is, Gary Chapman wrote the book titled The 5 Love Languages. There's a nugget for you to write down. What those are, I actually wrote those down here somewhere because I don't remember them all the time. Oh, words of affirmation, that's one. Quality time. Receiving gifts. Physical touch, like hugs. And acts of service. Such as, great example, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent, I'm happy, I can achieve my goals, and I have a plan. They say a person with a plan always seems to succeed. This is a common question. Are you someone who's struggling to maintain relationships with friends and family during COVID? Guess what? I just gave you the solution. You have to go do something with it. And I promise you it works. You can sit there and boo-hoo and go, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Or you can go, wait a second. This is my friend group. This is my friend group, and I've got Bob. Give you an example. My buddy Bob, he likes to hunt. And if I want to get to know Bob and build those maintained relationships and build those relationships with my friends, ask him some questions. Bob, guy, this is a true story, called me the other day and he just said, you know what? He said, I appreciate you and Mary Beth so much. But we cater to those words of affirmation, that quality time, the best that we can. It could be a text, it could be a phone call. Maybe you send them something, send somebody a card in the mail. When you see them, give them a hug or a high five, or those acts of service. Maybe they just, you do something for them. Sweep someone's porch, rake their leaves, shovel their snow. Depending on the season, of course. But there's things that you can do. The point of this all is this. Focus on what is in your control. That's where we need to spend our time, is on what we can do and not dwell upon the fact of what we can't do. That's where we get hung up. And that's where we get in trouble. I'm going to go on to the next one here. Are you someone who is having trouble? Here we go. I know this is a big one. Are you someone who's having trouble overcoming mental health obstacles to persevere through this new year? And I'm going to spend a minute here, or a lot longer. Are you someone who's having trouble overcoming mental health obstacles to persevere through the new year? First off, I want to note something. We have mental health issues because of our thinking. I touched base on this just a little bit ago. Everything that we go through begins with a single thought. If you're having thoughts that are not good, I know this is going to sound crazy, change the thought. It's that simple. Change your thought. Focus on what's in your control, and if you have a thought come into your mind that you don't like, just simply change it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. Find friends that don't feed in to your own drama. You know how you've had a bad day? Well, let's just be real. You've had a bad day with somebody and you're like, I'm going to call boo-boo, whoever. And you're like, oh my gosh, this happened. And they're like, oh no, oh, that's horrible. And they just feed into it and feed into it and feed into it. It's like, and all that toxicity just rises. Guess what? No, they're not the person to turn to. At least not for that reason. Find people that you can turn to and they're going to speak into your life. You know something, Joe, Bob, Susie, Candace, whatever your name is, you know what? You're an overcomer. You're an achiever. You're somebody that doesn't accept this junk. This doesn't define you. This doesn't define you. You're better than that. And if you don't have people like that in your life, then I want you to email me. I'll speak into your life for you. And I'm not kidding you. If you're struggling and you confront someone and you want that someone to understand what you're going through and not tell that your life is going to end in 30 seconds, and I've seen this happen. I got young people all over. I'm in 9 states working in every state that I've gone to. I turned to my friend and I told him what I was going through, and they're like, maybe you should end it. Are you kidding me? Go find new friends. This isn't hard. This isn't rocket science. And if you don't know where to find those friends, again, reach out to me. I got solutions for you. Depression and anxiety. I'm going to touch base on that one for a second. Remember, if you're someone who's having trouble overcoming mental health obstacles to persevere through the new year, that's what I'm touching base on right now. Depression and anxiety, without a doubt, are the result, hear me, please hear me, they're the result of negative thinking. How can you be depressed if you're saying to yourself and other people are saying to you, we are going to get through this together. I believe in you. You can do this. Yeah, we're getting into some bumps in the road, but you know something? We'll be on the other side of this real soon. Those are the people you need in your life if you're struggling with these circumstances. It says depression and anxiety, without a doubt, are the result of negative thinking, which in turn lowers those feel-good chemicals in the brain, which help cause these disorders. I know it's a real thing. It is a real thing, and my heart goes out to people who deal with this stuff. But it can't define you unless you allow it. And I'm here to tell you that I have other solutions. I can't possibly do it in 60 minutes. I can't. But I'm going to give you guys my information at the end, and I want to hear from you. If you guys don't have people to turn to, I want to hear from you. Picture yourself in an awesome image. Think about this. If you're somebody that loves to snow ski, picture yourself at the top of that mountain with your brand new skis, and you've gone down 30 times and people are watching you going, man, look at how amazing that skier is. Or picture yourself as if you want to be a doctor. Picture yourself in where you want to be. I'm serious. You have to practice this. This isn't something that you can just dream up one day and there it is. No, you have to practice this. I didn't sit down. You saw my video, me playing the piano. That didn't just happen overnight. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of effort, and I had to practice. And I'm suggesting this is one of those things that you can really help your own self, is to think about who you want to be and picture what it's like being that person. Oh my gosh. You know how many times, and this is on my bucket list, I wanted to perform at the Metropolitan Opera House in Greece. Yep. It's a big amphitheater. I think I'm saying it right. But it's this enormous amphitheater in Greece. That's what I want to do. It's on my bucket list. Things have really slowed down. Do you think COVID has interrupted my plans? Yeah, a lot. You know how many students I didn't get to see this past year? A lot. But guess what? We're still coming together in the best ways that we can. We're smiling about it, and we're knowing in our hearts that this is not going to last forever. It's so important to take away. And remember this. Oh my goodness. Don't label yourself. If you want to be, I hear this from people all the time. If you want to be thin, see yourself thin, but also feel it. If that's something that you deal with. Example, what does it feel like to be thin? Own that feeling. This is one of the most powerful resources you have. How are you using it? You can do this. We can do this. We can come together and go, you know something? We're going to beat this. We're going to win. We are overcomers. I'm here. I'm here doing this broadcast. It's cold. It's snowing on this day. You can look it up one day. It'll be in the archives. And I'm here because you're worth it. I'm here because you matter. And if no one has told you that recently, I just did. You deserve this. You deserve the freedom that you've been looking for. Have a reason to wake up in the morning. What's your reason? Why do you get up? I've got 5 beautiful children. I've got 2 pygmy goats. Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? I've got 2 cooney pigs. And my wife and I have a beautiful little flower farm. Maybe one day I'll be able to see you there. We're on the east side of Cleveland. I'm not far. That's my reason to wake up every day. My purpose is to come here. My purpose, I've made my purpose you. And people just like you. Don't ever see something as impossible. Ever. In my eyes, some refer to me as a dreamer. Guess what? I am. But I can do anything that I put my heart and my mind to. If I dig deep enough, I can show you how to do that. In closing, I know deep in my heart that this message today is for somebody. I want you to do something for yourself. Please write this down. There are 3, 4, and 5 word phrases that I have learned to initiate healing in our own souls, if you will. I love you. Who do you need to say I love you to? I forgive you. Who is it, that person's coming to your mind right now, that you need to call them up? Don't wait. Call them right now and just say, I want you to know that I forgive you. It's not worth holding on to these grudges. It's not worth, and I feel like there's somebody out there that has been dealing with a parent that they really need to forgive. If that's you, call your parent and say, hey, I'm sorry. Just end the drama. Get rid of it. It'll change your life. I promise you. I believe in you. That's a good one. Who do you need to say, I believe in you to? I'm picturing people getting on the phone after this broadcast. Don't text somebody this. Call them. Call them on the phone and say, you know what? I want you to know that I believe in you. I love you. Or try this one. It's the best 5 words you could ever say. I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. I know there's people looking at their devices or their televisions right now. You're looking right at me. And you're like, I don't have people that talk to me like that. I don't have people in my life to give me what you're talking about. Well, I got great news for you. You right now. Yeah, you. If you are somebody that deals with anxiety or depression, I want you to reach out to me. I'm hoping that they put on the screen down here my email address. I want you to email me. I want to hear your story. You've been kind enough to tune into mine. The least I can do is listen to your story. If you're somebody that is dealing with that anxiety and depression, you want to go a little bit deeper and you're tired of it, send me a message. I'll be glad to walk you through some of the things that I've been through that have really helped me a lot. If you are having thoughts of hurting yourself or even maybe someone else, I want to talk to you too. I want to meet you. I know what that's like. I've been down that road. And I also been down the road of how to not ever feel like that again. You are beautiful. The person who's listening to this broadcast right now was created absolutely beautiful. You're amazing. I know we're all going through some stuff. I get it. But for those of you who are watching right now in the weeks ahead, take a break from social media. That's just personal advice from me to you. Don't believe everything that you see in the news, and we don't know what's real, what's not. Dig deep. Dig deep. I believe in you. And I'm proud of you. Thanks for taking the time to watch this broadcast. And I want you to know that I love you. I do. My goal for this broadcast was to lead with love and not fear. And I'm hoping at this moment, I feel like somebody right now that's watching this broadcast is feeling a sense of peace right now that maybe you haven't experienced before. And if that's you, it's nice to meet you. I promise you, we will be on the other side of this very soon. You're awesome. You're amazing. And I look forward to one day meeting you in person. We'll see you next time.